Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to welcome the DCU's newest superhero, the Monkey Prince. But before he became the Monkey Prince, he was better known as Marcus' son. And ironically, dude wasn't a fan of superheroes. But why is that? What happens when a young Marcus' son finds himself as the new kid at Gotham City High School? Which superhero might have scared the crap out of him? Monkey Prince issue number 1 not only delivers a fresh and engaging new hero who is utterly unique, but integrates him beautifully into Batman's Gotham City in a way which is natural, exciting, and at times hilarious. Gene Luen Yang's script is filled with infectious enthusiasm that's hard not to love. There's almost Saturday morning cartoon type of energy to the comic, and I found myself smiling throughout the entire time. Yang smartly keeps the narrative firmly with Marcus as a relatable teenager reacting to extraordinary circumstances that are thrust upon him, and it's clear that Gene Luen Yang has a plan for our new hero, and so it'll definitely be very exciting to read what happens to him in following issues. The only downside one could take from this isn't the comic's fault, because you can tell that with this being a new character for the DCU, the only way it's going to sell, at least coming from the minds of the editorial department, is if you put Batman in the comic. And yeah, I understand the logic because, Batman is worth more than some, countries in the real world. And so I get that. But at the same time, you do wish that, DC Comics had more faith in their non-Batman characters. Now, when it comes to the art, Bernard Chang's exuberant energy is served throughout the entirety of this issue. His immensely detailed pencils and tight direction create a reading experience that is wickedly exciting to follow. Chang's designs for characters, new and old, are intricately designed and animated. The classics are easy to recognize, and the new ones are sure to stay in your mind. Every character has unique features and is easy to recognize instantaneously. The design for the Monkey Prince himself is outwardly simple, yet obvious that Chang put a ton of work into it. The character's costume design is a perfect blend of mythical royalty with a modern superhero take. Chang puts in a ton of effort into placing these mythical beings and settings into the DC universe, and he makes it feel so seamless. Chang's art is sheen, and he gives a great sense of movement for Marcus and the other characters. Another plus is that he created a truly monstrous Batman, who is recognizable as the Dark Knight, yet also subtly sinister, as it befits Marcus's point of view of him with regards to the story. Yet the artwork wouldn't be nearly as effective as it is without Sebastian Chang's colors. His vivid high fidelity palette pulls the reader into this read with a style that matches the energy of the pencils and the script. Every panel leaps off the page thanks to Chang's work. The attention to various skin tones of the characters is also very good, making Marcus's world feel even more lived in. The finished art splash pages evoke the feeling of a classic Chinese art print, while still following the conventions of Western comics. Overall, this is a stunning comic book from front to back, with a killer visual team. The Monkey Prince may fall victim to origin story tropes and what feels like a forced cameo crossover, but Yang and Chang are taking strides to the right direction. The character is unique, and I'm looking forward to seeing plenty of interesting plot points play out as the series continues. It may not be for everyone, but the Monkey Prince issue number 1 is a solid start to what ideally would be a robust new addition to the DC mythos. Bottom line, I will absolutely be back in covering issue 2. The Monkey Prince issue number 1 gets an 8.5 out of 10. Our epic story begins with a boy named Marcus, and while his mother is tucking him into bed, we see and hear the loud striking flashes and the loud rumblings of a thunderstorm. But Marcus, being the brave little kid that he is, isn't afraid of anything. But later that night, Marcus gets woken up by a loud commotion in his house. And as he goes to check out on what's going on, he walks through the hallway, stepping on puddles of cold water, where he sees the Dark Knight himself, standing in his living room, shown to be beating up his parents. Now, the reason why Batman is in Marcus's house is because Marcus's parents are freelance criminals who work for the highest bidder amongst the scum of Gotham City. And so as soon as Batman realizes that a kid is in the house, he lets Marcus's parents know to tell their employer that this isn't over before jumping out of the window. Following this incident, Marcus and his parents moved out of Gotham City, but no matter where they went, that night was permanently engraved into Marcus's nightmares. And as shown throughout Marcus's life, no matter where he moved to, whether it be Bloodhaven, Opal City, or Keystone City, everything from black curtains to the sight of bats and the sounds of thunder and lightning, everything would remind him of the Dark Knight, to the point where Marcus developed anxiety because of his fear of Batman. Now, with Marcus being in high school and once again being the new kid in Gotham City, getting bullied is very, very likely. And so it's here while in the PE class, Marcus and his classmates are at the pool. But when Marcus steps into a puddle of cold water, it immediately reminds him of Batman. And so after he freaks out and accidentally bumps into the school bully, he shoves Marcus into the pool because of it. Later that day, a drenched Marcus is sitting outside the principal's office because Marcus's panic attack had caused the school authorities to call his mom. So while he waits for his mother, we see the school janitor mopping up the water that Marcus had brought with him. Now the janitor introduces himself as Mr. Zhu, and he tells Marcus that he saw what happened at the pool and that he has a cure for Marcus's anxiety, asking him to come by the maintenance office later on. But his conversation is cut short by the arrival of his mother, and Mr. Zhu asks him on who the wide-hipped lady is, because it's making him regret his vow of celibacy. But Marcus expresses the fact that the woman is his mom. So yeah, dude, please don't do this thing. Please don't make this a thing. It's really awkward. Afterwards, with Marcus back home, we pick up later that day with Marcus's parents, who are arriving late at their workplace. And this is where we see the Penguin, who is revealed to be their employer. Now, Marcus's parents are not just, random hench people, for they are also really, really skilled scientists. And apparently, they've built a machine for the Penguin. Now, before they move on ahead to experiment the machine, Penguin reiterates his plan to release a golden demon that is trapped inside a gourd, and the machine will force it into Penguin's financial advisor, turning him into gold, as a punishment because the advisor's bad advice caused Penguin to lose a ton of money. Now, Laura tries to tell Penguin that the machine isn't ready, and so maybe we can try this tomorrow. But Penguin tells her that gold prices are at an all-time high, so they're doing it today. Winston tells Laura to just let it go and move ahead with the plan. Thus, the electric jolts from the machine release the demon, but as Laura predicted, the machine couldn't force it into the advisor, and so the demon instead possesses Penguin. From there, a possessed Penguin points his gun at Winston, telling him that the two of them let this happen, and so because of that, he should just put a bullet in them both. However, they are way too valuable, so instead he shoots his advisor. Boom, headshot. Back at Gotham City High School, Marcus visits the maintenance office, where Mr. Zhu is enjoying a can of soda. From there, Mr. Zhu takes him to the pool, but while en route, the man burps in Marcus's face. Now it's here where he tells Marcus that he has anxiety as well, and that he's afraid of many things, but the cure of that lies on the other side of the water curtain, referring to the pool. And he tells Marcus that he needs to face his fears head on. But Marcus is not wanting to, once again make a fool of himself in front of everyone. And so he realizes that he made a mistake by coming to Mr. Zhu. And so he just walks away and goes back home. Later at home, we see that Marcus has a glorious collection of shoes, and he intends to wear the pride of his collection, the vintage Jordans 3S, to school tomorrow, in order to make up for the reputation that he lost today. Now, Marcus's mom visits him in his room, asking if he's smoking because she could see the clouds around Marcus's head. Now, Marcus denies that he's smoking anything. However, she just tells him that she just wants him to be safe, and she understands that the constant moving is taking a toll on him. And after she leaves, Marcus concludes that the clouds are clearly from Mr. Zhu's burp, which is pretty weird. The following day at school, the burp clouds have vanished, and while in class, Marcus's crush Kaya introduces herself, and she asks about the thing that's sticking out of Marcus's jacket. Now Marcus is like, "Girl, what are you talking about?" But just as he looks down, he sees a fucking tail. And like anyone in the world, the dude immediately rushes out of the classroom, where he encounters Riz and the gang of bullies, and they beat up Marcus, stealing his shoes in the process, because Marcus's mom seemingly reported them and they all got detention. Afterwards, we see Marcus sitting by the pool, and eventually Kaya approaches him, asking if he's okay, But it's in this moment where Marcus remembers what Mr. Zhu told him, and that the only cure to his anxiety is by facing his fears head on. That being, he needs to dive through the water curtain. Thus, Marcus jumps right into the pool, and he submerges into the water, only to emerge from a waterfall inside another dimension, where he encounters Mr. Zhu in his true form, Shifu Pixie, and he tells Marcus that he's in Water Curtain Cave on Flower Fruit Mountain, the home to his true father, the Monkey King. Now, Shifu Pixie tells him that Marcus's world is in danger, and so in order to protect it, he must overcome his fear. And so he places a crown on Marcus's head, referring to him as the Monkey Prince, and that his training begins now. Suddenly, a cloud sweeps Marcus away, and he emerges from the pool in front of Kaya as the Monkey Prince. But it doesn't stop there, because the gust carries him into the boys' locker room, where the Monkey Prince attacks the bullies who had stolen his shoes. However, this boosted confidence drastically changes Marcus's personality, and with him being cocky and arrogant, he proceeds to beat the shit out of the bullies, and none of them stand a chance. He's basically Cobra Kai-ing everyone. But unbeknownst to Marcus, Damian Wayne is also in the locker room, and he hears what's happening, and so he signals his father that a metahuman is loose in the school. And from there, both Batman and Robin burst onto the scene, and with the sight of Batman, Marcus immediately gets another panic attack, and he freezes, to which Batman throws a batarang, thus intending to disarm him. But Riz the bully pulls Monkey Prince towards the path of the batarang, which results in Marcus getting his head sliced off like a jackass. And that, folks, was the end of Monkey Prince, issue number 1. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I'm your majestic sayer over at SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for the Monkey Prince, and are you excited for issue number 2? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.